Hello, friends. This is Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl with Cosmic Owl Astrology. And this is the Weirdly Cosmic podcast for the Libra new moon that will be on October the 6th, 2021 at 13 degrees Libra. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Before I start talking about the actual lunation, there's some other things I want to talk about astrologically that are leading into it that are really important because we're kind of heading into quite a difficult time. Sorry, I'm just going to shuffle cards while I do this. But a quick reminder while I'm listening that please subscribe to me on YouTube, Cosmic Owl Astrology. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers and it kind of is the tipping point. So just subscribe if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Check the little bell. You don't have to do that though. And please give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Even if you're listening on audio only, I'd really appreciate the use of YouTube subscribes. And yeah, I offer astrology readings. I'm finishing up writing my third book, so things are a little booked out at the moment. And then in December, I'll be starting my Venus retrograde class, which is my favourite thing to do. And this will be my fourth Venus retrograde that I've done it. I started in 2017. Was it the fourth? Yeah. Anyway, and it's transformational. And honestly, it's basically channeled work, and we do shamanic healing, shamanic transfiguration and soul retrieval and all kinds of exciting things as a group. This time I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to offer the basic class that I always offer. I'm not going to offer some big fancy upgrade, but I'm going to offer the opportunity to book sessions with me through that class if you wish to. And since I did the last Venus retrograde class, I'm hoping to have the sign up link ready anytime now. But since I did the last Venus retrograde class, I've actually become certified in Venus star point work, Ariel Gutman's work, which is quite transformational Venus work. And so my relationship with Venus has deepened, and I'll be offering consultations to look at your own personal Venus star point and how that works for your relationships and how it works in your own life. But enough of all that. First, before we dive into the astrology, I'm going to pull a card. This is actually one of my favourite cards. It's the Aeon. And an Aeon is an age. And we are moving into a new age. And you can see that this is kind of looks a bit like the Leo symbol behind, but it's not. And then there's the egg of rebirth. And then we've got Isis, Osiris, and all kinds of gods and goddesses in there, and these floating figures down here being reborn. This is actually a symbol from the Kabbalah, and I'm not sure which one it is, so I wish I knew. But the Aeon is a 20, and it's moving into a new age, and it's number 20, and you'll see that. And it's a very fiery card. It's got orange and red and yellow, and it's very vibrant, very birthy, and it's got kind of this one figure has kind of the Medusa snake head that's coming out there. There's all kinds of symbols of transformation and growth in this, okay? And the figure that kind of looks a little bit like the Leo symbol is actually a woman kind of bent over the egg. So it's a very creative, birthing a new age, as we know we're going into the age of Aquarius. So, and the 20, remember that this is card number 20, because I have a lot to say about that in this. And so let me just talk a little bit more about what's coming up astrologically. I'm going to talk in detail about the new moon itself in a minute, but I'm recording this on the 22nd of September. We've just passed the equinox, so we are just into fall or autumn in the north and spring in the south. We're just at that tipping point of equal day and equal night, so we're at a time of great change. But as the equinox was approaching this morning, Mercury formed a T-square with Pluto in Capricorn and Eris in Aries. And now Mercury is stationing retrograde on September the 26th and never moves more than a degree from where he is today, which is 24 degrees. So Pluto and Eris are heading towards their fifth of 5 exact squares, and what's been a very paradigm shifting square, because the first one came at the end of January last year as the chaos of the pandemic was starting to come into our awareness, and it's generally aligned with peaks and more points of chaos, because Eris is the goddess of discord, and she is the whistleblower, she's the shit caller, she's like, I'm going to show you up for your artifice and your vanities. Pluto in Capricorn has been undermining our institutions and our faith in our institutions for the last since 2008. And Mercury is stationing retrograde in this T-square with Pluto and Eris as everything's shifting directions. Now, Mercury is going retrograde on September the 26th, but he will move slowly at first backwards. So this T-square is going to stay exact into early October. And then right on this new moon, as Mercury is starting to move backwards, Pluto stations direct. And 3 days later, exactly squares Eris. So we've got this dance between Mercury, Pluto and Eris. Now that's going to continue, but we'll look more at that perhaps on the next podcast. And I'll talk a little bit more about Mercury on this new moon itself in a second. But not only do we have Pluto stationing direct on the day of the new moon, and Pluto retrogrades every year. All the outer planets retrograde every year, but it's the time around the stations that tend to cause the most discord and disruption and shifting in quite big ways at times. Pluto often causes actual Earth movements, it causes secrets to be revealed, it causes changes of direction in our institutions. But then 2 days after that, on October the 8th, and after the new moon, we've got Chariklo, the grace spinner, who I'm convinced was kind of the mentor to the goddesses, whereas Chiron was the mentor to the gods, that was her husband. She stations direct at the last degree of Capricorn on October the 8th. Now, she was right there with Saturn and Pluto at the start of all this stuff in January 2012 as well, when Saturn and Pluto met in Capricorn. She was conjunct them, so she's been a major part of this story. So that's Pluto, Chariklo. They were part of this whole pandemic story and chaos in the world story. Then on October the 11th, Saturn stations direct, and he was a part of the beginning of this story. So things are going to shift. Things are going to start moving and shifting and changing direction. Pluto's going to head back towards that last square with Eris on October the 9th. Then on October the 18th, we'll talk probably more about that next in the full moon podcast, but Jupiter will station direct on the day that Mercury stations direct. So we've got a lot of shifting energies. We've got a lot of planets changing directions between now, the 22nd, and October the 18th, when Mercury and Jupiter both station direct. Not only that, this new moon is at 13 degrees and 24 minutes of Libra. And 13 is kind of the number of the death card in the tarot. It's the number associated with the divine feminine, and it's the number that it's been associated with witchcraft and bad luck and magic. Has the divine feminine has been maligned. 13 is actually quite a strong number, really, though. But it is a number of upheaval, so that new ground can be broken. It's a very, very powerful number. It's a number that must be used for good reasons. If it's used for selfish purposes, it can bring destruction and dis-ease and illnesses. 13 really is, about genius and transmuting your vices into virtues, if you like. And it's about trials, tests, and temptations. So it's a very, you think of the death card, which is a Scorpio card. It's about transformation from the root chakra up to the higher consciousness. Okay, so we see that it's already a very powerful new moon at 13 degrees and 24 minutes. But it happens to be conjunct Mars. And Mars is only going to be 34 minutes from the new moon, also at 13 degrees on the new moon. And Mars in Libra, we have Mars in Libra already. Mars in Libra is said to be in detriment, which really basically means that he's just not as comfortable in the sign of Libra. Libra, wants balance, peace, harmony, balance, action, and Mars wants action and change and direct force, but also to protect. And Mars can be a little bit passive aggressive and a little bit upset the apple cart in Libra. But not only that, this new moon and Mars conjunction, so we've got the moon, the sun and Mars all together at 13 Libra. At 13 degrees of Taurus, we have Uranus, who's actually only 3 minutes away from a quincunx from Mars to Uranus, which happens just before the new moon. This is real kind of discordant energy here. A quincunx is discordant. Mars, Uranus is really discordant. Mars and Uranus are both very quick moving energies, and it's likely that there's going to be shocks and surprises, but also awakenings. This is the energy of things being suddenly brought to light. It's also the energy of literal earthquakes, but in the sign of Libra and Taurus, these are both Venus-ruled signs. So we're going to look at Venus in a minute. So this is a very Venusian new moon. And at 13 degrees, this suggests, with Mars and Uranus both involved, the Pluto-Eris square only 3 days away, it feels like there is just going to be some major discord around this new moon. And then I remember I said that the card is number 20, Mercury, who kind of is activating a lot of this discord today as I record this on the equinox, is at 20 degrees of Libra on that day. And he's in a quincunx to Neptune. So there's very confusing messages going on. There's a lot of adjustments. There's a lot of just a lot of strife, really. Okay. And even more than that, Mercury is also in a quincunx to Black Moon Lilith, which basically means that Mercury at 20 degrees and Black Moon Lilith is in Venus-ruled Taurus. Mercury is at the focal point of a finger of fate or finger of God. I think the news cycle and the way we think and what we think about, I think we're going to have some big shocks, some big revelations, some some news that rocks our world, okay, coming up, leading up to this new moon and on this new moon and around it. It could be in our personal lives, it could just be in the world out there. But when it's such a focal point, this is Mercury's already reviewing, reflecting, revisiting in Libra, revisiting what we think about peace, what we think is equanimity, what we think is balance, what we think is harmony. And is a real focal point here between Neptune in Pisces, which really is kind of the Christ consciousness energy, and Black Moon Lilith, our wild, shamed selves. We're really being, asked to step into the truth of who we are. But we're also in Libra with this strong Libra energy, being asked that means that we're all in this together as well. So this is not this, me, my, all me, that we have in some of this society. This is Libra. This is like we are in a community. We are in this together. We have to find a way to bring it all into balance and to make things work for the better of the whole. I'm not talking, politically. I'm just talking societally. And it might mean politically too, but I'm not being political about that. Okay. Now, we've got the sun, the moon. The sun is our core. We've got the moon, which is our emotional receptivity. This is a new cycle. Mars there saying this is our will, our drive, our action has to be towards equanimity, peace and balance. The focal point of the yod being at Mercury is saying we have to change how we think about this and move forward with this, and really just we're kind of gonna kill off ourselves if we don't bring some changes in the world. Okay, so we have to start thinking differently, and Mercury is retrograde telling us that. And of course this is taking place on October the 6th. After that point, Mercury will meet with Mars. The Sun will meets with Mars just after this new moon, and then we'll have the Cazimi with the Sun in Mercury in the heart of the Sun. And so we've got a focal point here around 16 degrees. They're all going to meet, where everything kind of focalizes and says, come on, we have to bring our core and our emotions, our ego, our emotional body, and our feelings and our will in together and combine them to really create something more balanced, more equitable, more harmonious and more peaceful. So it's a really big focus. Uranus over in Taurus is likely to shock us into this somewhat, okay, saying you have to change your thinking. Uranus is kind of the benevolent rebel. And a lot of this, I think, will be about climate change, around how we think about what we're doing with the world. I'm not a big believer of thinking, the pandemic came just to teach us a lesson, but I think we do have to learn lessons from it. And, I think there are things coming out, I'm not in the line of the extreme theories, but I do think there's possibilities that some aspects of science have messed with things they shouldn't have done, or humans have messed with things they shouldn't have done. For example, if you think about it, whether the pandemic started from wet markets and eating wild animals and the wild animal trade, and humans and wild animals mixing in ways that perhaps they shouldn't do really, or whether it came from scientists fiddling with things in a lab. Either way, it's probably from our human interaction and our human interaction with the earth and how we work with the earth that has brought a lot of this on, and we have to learn these lessons. I think this Mercury retrograde and this new moon will bring a lot of these stories together. I think the fact Chariklo is also stationing direct. She went into Aquarius for a while and dipped back into Capricorn to revisit these stories that she weaves, where she really is asking us to weave a new story. And here she is at the critical anaretic degree of Capricorn on the day of the new moon, saying it's time to really create something new, a new way. I think a lot of the lessons, and I think Pluto, my opinion of what this is telling us is that Pluto and Eris and all the other things around are telling us that there is this unequal, treating everybody differently, treating the earth like we control it and own it, the uber wealthy treating the plebeians as if they own them, how we treat each other, how we treat the earth is all being highlighted in this. And again, that Libra focus is saying we're all in this together. Now, gosh, there's lots more. Ceres is also in aspect this new moon. Ceres is in Gemini. Remember, the North Node has been in Gemini and is still in Gemini, asking us to open our minds, to move to more rational thinking, to look at other perspectives, to think differently, to change our thoughts, to change our life. Ceres represents the plebeians, the ordinary people, but she also represents the cycles of the earth and nature, and being in alignment with all of that, and being in alignment with the cycles of life, birth, life and death as well. And grief and loss, and accepting that all of this is part of the human experience. Part of what we've done as humans really is to try and deny our human body. Now, I do believe we are more than just a human body, that we have soul in it, but we are here. This is what we are here experiencing, this human body. And we've tried to, stave off death. We've tried to stave off this. We've tried to... we don't accept that we are going to die, we're going to get sick, we're going to die. Now, I don't mean in the way that some areas of society are talking at the moment, but it's just about we've got to look at this more holistically from all points. There are, allopathic medicines that are really useful, to help people live a healthy life. But then it's like we reach a point where it's like we are trying to stave off everything, stave off the wrinkles, stave off, death. But sometimes it's at what cost? Okay, where are we living at that point? And I think that this trine from the new moon in another air sign, so Libra's an air sign, is saying, and we've got to think about this. And Mercury rules Gemini, so it goes back to the Mercury retrograde too. This new moon is massive, really, for how we have to rethink our whole everything, our whole balance of life. The new moon is in opposition to Chiron in Aries too, who is there healing our Mars energy, and Mars is there next to the new moon. Chiron is in Aries, and he's the key to healing. And it's saying it's up to me to do the healing, but I've got to play my part. But we can never separate the Aries energy from the polarity Libra. Polarities work with each other. I am within the we. It's all about what I can do with the we. Okay, it's not about me. It's not all about codependent, relying on the other, or selflessly giving everything up for the other. It's about compromise, which is another Libra word. Compromise, mediation, okay. Diplomacy is another Libra word. I think, Libra gets a lot of kind of underestimated, because Libra is a very powerful sign, because she is the sign of war as well, because that's when, war is a form of fighting out diplomacy, okay. and being the opposite side of Aries, that's like, the two eyes are kind of going to butt heads a little bit and fight. So, this is a very complex new moon. Now, I said I would come back to Venus, that rules the sign of Libra, where the new moon is, and also that Taurus, where there's an almost exact quincunx. That's the most exact aspect to Uranus. And Venus rules Taurus, where Uranus is. Venus on this new moon will be at 28 degrees Scorpio. Now we've got a lot at the last degrees. She's about to hit 29 degrees on this new moon. So that's that last anaretic degree. She's in opposition to Sedna. Sedna is in Taurus, and Sedna is very associated with climate change. Alan Clay, who runs Dwarf Astrology University, and he has dwarfplanetastrology.com. He writes a lot about these new dwarf planets, and he's written a book about Sedna, which I haven't had a chance to read yet. But I've met Alan, and he does some really good work on all of this. Well, Venus is opposing Sedna, and Sedna, I'm not going to go into a myth. You can look her up. It's Sedna. But she is very much associated with climate change. She has an orbit of around 10,400 years. She's way out in the cosmos. And the last time she was about where she is now was at the very end of the last major ice age. So, there's a good... I'm not saying we're having another ice age, but we know climate change is happening. So, she's her cycle is very associated with climate change. Alan Clay also says she's about spiritual destiny through crisis, and we are clearly in a collective crisis, being called towards our spiritual destiny as we move into the new aeon or age. So Venus is opposing Sedna on this, and she's in Scorpio, and Taurus, Scorpio are kind of about our values and about our shared values and our resources and our shared resources, and resources being basically everything. Resources are the earth, the physical things that we can touch. Resources are our self-worth, our self-esteem, how we earn our money, how we feed ourselves, how we are resourceful. So we've got that opposition from Venus. Venus is also in sextile aspect to Hygeia, which is going to be at Hygeia is health, and she's going to be at the anaretic degree of Virgo, the 29th degree. And then Venus is also in a sextile aspect to Chariklo, who stations direct 2 days after this new moon. So this actually makes a kite. Okay, because Sedna and Chariklo are entwined to each other, and both are entwined to Hygeia. So we've got Chariklo weaving a new story. We've got Sedna, this climate change, spiritual destiny through crisis, in what, climate change is, and the pandemic are all connected. And then we've got Hygeia, which is our health in Virgo, the sign of health as well, and holistic, being whole. And then we've got Venus in Scorpio, our deepest values. So Venus is very important on this new moon as well. And at an anaretic degree, This is critical energy, crisis, critical. Everything about this new moon is showing we are entering a really critical period. Okay, now this is going to lead. I talked about all the other planets stationing in different directions throughout October. Then in November we start eclipse season, and right after the two eclipses we have one in November and one in December, total one on December the 4th, and a lunar total solar on December the 4th, 2 weeks before we have a lunar eclipse. And then at the middle of December we are moving into another draconic bowl. That's called the Kala Sarpa. I think I've got that right. Time of the Black Snake. Okay, and we've had two draconic bowls recently, and both those draconic bowls coincided with times of the most severe lockdowns because of the pandemic. Now, that's just a fact. The astrology coincided with lockdowns, and we're going to enter quite a severe draconic bowl, which means all the planets will be trapped on one side of the nodes from the middle of December till very early February. So quite a short one. The last winter was long. This one's quite short. But just to show you what a tumultuous time we were entering, and how this new moon, and really the period from the day I'm recording, is really setting the scene for the next few turbulent months. Now, a couple of other things I want to say about these energies. People are suffering, I'm going to say. Before I recorded this, I spent some time, somebody on my Facebook page said she was going to commit suicide, and I managed to get her chatting a little bit in the message box. I don't know her. Her profile's very shut down. I couldn't send somebody for a wellness check if I wanted to. But we got talking, and I was just like, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. It was interesting because this woman is really, she's on the opposite side politically to me, shall we say, if there are sides. But I had to set that aside to listen to her, because she was in pain. She was like, they are doing this and they are doing that, and the mysterious they. And I was like, wow, this is what it's like to set what I think should be done aside to listen to somebody who thinks differently. Not asking for a halo because, I just felt I could not ignore it. And this is perhaps what we've got to do. Whilst looking after ourselves and ours, we have to start putting aside this division, this separatist feeling that we've got, this feeling of separation. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're vaccinated and if you're uncomfortable around vaccinated people, right, currently, or in large groups, that doesn't mean you have to go and hug everybody. This is just about opening minds and listening to the different perspectives, and opening your mind to the fact that maybe they are struggling too. And then opening your mind to the fact that people's mental health is failing because of all this time we're in. Again, that doesn't mean not looking after yourself first. I'm a great believer in self-care and filling your cup before you go and help others. But just to look at I mentioned the finger of fate, or God, the Yod, from Neptune in Pisces, with Black Moon Lilith in Taurus, to Mercury retrograde, the mind. That could literally mean people kind of losing their minds, for want of a better word for it. And I think we're going to see a lot of people at least feeling like they would rather not be on this planet anymore. expressing that they don't want to be on this planet anymore. There's going to be a lot of people suffering. And so I think this Libra new moon is giving us the chance to disrupt what we've been doing and find a way to start listening to each other in somehow. I don't know how it is. I only gave my small example as an example. Okay. Now again, that doesn't mean you have to, be around it all the time or let it really drain your own energy, whichever side you're on. It just means that you have to give some time to listen as well, and some time to open your mind a little to different perspectives from whichever side you come from. Okay, because we are so polarized right now. In January as well, the nodes will shift back into Taurus and Scorpio, and we're going to get a big focus then on climate change, I think. And I think that's going to be the priority of the times we live in. If it isn't already, it should be. And we're realizing we're going to have to realize that we are all in this together. Okay. And that maybe we cannot go back to our materialistic, I have the right to multiple toys, me, my way, my freedom, and I can do what I want, and I can pollute this and pollute that, and I can drive bigger cars I want and have a big house and not worry about anything. We're going to have to start listening to the earth, listening to each other, listening to a different paradigm. Again, this is just about us as humans. This is not about parties. This is not about countries. This is not about politics. Not what I'm saying. This is what the astrology is telling me about coming together. And this focal point in Libra is about saying, come to this point of balance, come to this point of rest. You're being given an opportunity here to make radical changes. There's that word for Uranus, the most exact aspect to this new moon that's coming up. So I'm going to read the symbols. So we first have the Sabian symbol for 14 Libra. So we always go up to the next number on the symbols. So this says, in the heat of the noon hour, a person takes a siesta. The need for recuperation within the social pattern of everyday activity. At the emotional cultural level, humans today are not able to sustain constant activity. Well, that was kind of what I was talking about more, got to do this, got to be traveling all the time, got to be driving my big car, got to be burning it up, doing this, doing that. Anyway, there must be rest periods, siestas or coffee breaks, during which the individual withdraws within his own sphere of selfhood, not only for physical relaxation, but for allowing the strange but evidently necessary play of dream fantasies. Social structuring cannot be maintained healthfully without breaks, in whatever climate man may live. Besides, the body needs quiet and relaxation from nervous tension after what is often the main meal of the day. So this emphasizes the need for relaxation and the need to allow the functions of the body and psyche to digest, free from external pressures, the complex experiences of social living and particularly of business. Now think of that on a grander scale. Think of that for yourself too. This to me, my mind is talking about self-care. Self-care rejuvenates, and Libra, Venus ruled Libra and Venus ruled Taurus are very much about self-care. Putting the self first, then caring for others, bringing your own state into balance and harmony. But think about that in a greater global scale. We are not restful. We are always striving for growth and for expansion and for more, for this. Rest, relax, come in, take a siesta, recuperate. Anyway, you get the idea. Then the Chandra symbol, a chariot pulled by 4 elephants, embarking upon a highly unusual journey in which getting there is a very remote prospect. But along the way, upon the eternal road, you come upon absolutely everything that can trigger inner changes. You are granted the perfect view of the entire passing scene. And as you take it all in, the alchemy of deep process inside the soul optimizes the value and meaning of what you meet. Slowly, just underneath, you become aware, in sync and steady on. And soon all is perfect. You know where you are and you recognize what is asked of those with eyes to see. I love that. That's, to my mind, is quite restful too. I picture a chariot pulled by 4 elephants as moving very slowly. Move more gently and slowly through life. Elephants are quite graceful, actually. You know, everybody goes all about the elephant in the room or clumsy, but really they're slow and gentle and move through life with this sway. And then and you know, they could take it all in. Elephants are very family oriented as well. They're very we oriented. They come together, and a chariot is pulled by 4 elephants, which 4 is a symbol of stability. We're being asked to become more stable, more balanced, more aware of self-care rather than being action and doing. Mars itself, our will and drive, is in Libra, which is less action oriented. So Mars is being asked to slow down and smell the coffee as well, and to relax and recuperate. And we're being invited on this new moon with this aspect, I think particularly to Uranus, to make these radical changes, and also to Ceres, to think differently about acceptance of our humanness and life and the life cycles. And then with the opposition to Chiron, that's asking us to be a part of the healing that we need to go forward in these very challenging times. And then we have this Earth trine at critical degree with Venus making a kite, Venus in Scorpio. It's saying we have to get clear on our deepest values and make changes now, radical changes to our story, radical changes about how we are moving forward. The time is critical. The time is now, really. You know, I don't want to kind of scare you, but I think you probably know this already. And the universe is giving us these opportunities to die to the old and to be reborn and move into a new aeon with grace. Well, that's the new moon. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Again, please, you can find me, louiseedington.com, LouiseEdington.com. Cosmic Owl Astrology on YouTube, please subscribe. Facebook page, Cosmic Owl Astrology, please give me a follow. On Instagram, Cosmic Owl Astrology. I post daily updates on my social media. I don't post as often on YouTube. When my 3rd book's written, maybe I'll do some more YouTube videos. But also, please put in your calendar to look out for my Venus Retrograde Heroines Journey course. Venus is probably the most important planet of our time, or any time pretty much, for where we're going. Venus is the higher incarnation of Earth. She's here in this lunation in a really important position. She's heading towards a crucial retrograde from the middle of December while we're in that kind of lockdown energy. She's going to be retracing some steps in Capricorn and doing a dance with Mars and Pluto over the end of the year and into the new year, and it is going to be a journey you do not want to miss. Okay, I have to tell you, if you want to be a part of the change moving forward, join me on that. And for now, happy equinox today if you're listening right away. If not, you'll be well into the change by the time you listen to this. And hold on to your hats. We're in for a bit of a bumpy ride, but the opportunities are there to be taken if we choose. So I'll see you next time.